Alright, what's up everybody, it's Oxy Boyo, talking Marvel again, like I have any idea what I'm talking about. I had initially planned on writing out an outline for this video. I was never going to script it because I know that, like, certain videos that you try to do, you'll never get down everything that you thought about something. You'll realize after you've already edited and uploaded it and people have watched it and left comments on it that, oops, I forgot to say this thing, you know? Um, so this is something that I was just gonna go on because it's something that matters to me as a huge fan of Captain America, and as what I'm gonna say is going to upset a lot of people as a black person, because as I'm recording and uploading this, it is Black History Month, and we've got the new Captain America movie right around the corner. Now, I know a lot of people just got upset by me bringing race into it as quickly as possible, but I don't care. I want to talk about this because it's a conversation that's been had for the last 6 years. Ever since Avengers Endgame came out and Steve went back in time, grew into an old man, came back and gave the shield to Sam Wilson so he could become Captain America, there's been outrage and people have been upset all over the world. And I just want to address certain things about what makes Captain America who he is and why Sam was the obvious choice. Okay, we're gonna be talking a lot about the comics. Hopefully I grab all of the correct images. But people have been saying that it should have been Bucky, Bucky this, Bucky that, Bucky whatever, because in the Civil War comic event from 2006 to 2007, I haven't read it since I was a kid, but ever since that event came out, or sorry, back when that event came out and Captain America was killed at the end, Steve basically had two, like, dying wishes for Tony. You know, like, I know we're at odds right now, but I would like you to respect my final wish. One, help Bucky, right? Because that was when he found out that he was a Winter Soldier, and he wanted Bucky to be found and helped and saved. And two, find someone else to carry the shield. And then he died. So Tony decided to accomplish both of these goals at once. He thought it would be a good idea to, after he found Bucky, give him the shield and make him Captain America. I don't really know that he put a whole lot of thought into that, because not too long after he became Captain America, his dirty laundry got aired. Everybody kind of just knew what he was doing, what had happened to him. You know, they learned the truth about the Winter Soldier and all the stuff that he had done. And while it's like, yeah, he was brainwashed and mind controlled to do all those things, your average person would probably think, well, if he could be brainwashed once into killing all those people, what's to stop it from happening again? But the truth is, nothing, you know? So when Steve came back, he pretty much took the shield back from Bucky because he didn't pick Bucky, Tony did. Whereas when Sam Wilson became Captain America, Steve wasn't dead. Steve had, the super soldier serum had been deactivated by a guy called Iron Nail, I think. And so he basically rapidly aged into a 100-year-old man. And while they were trying to figure out how to fix him, Steve said, well, somebody needs to be Captain America. Sam, would you do me the honor of carrying my shield? And so he promoted Sam to Captain America himself. Those are two very different scenarios. One, he offloaded the responsibility of picking a Captain America to somebody else, and then the choice ended up not being a good choice. In the second scenario, he made the choice himself, right? Now let's just kind of like look at how things are in the MCU. Obviously, Steve and Bucky love each other very much. That's what the entire plot of Civil War is. Steve is willing to take on the entire government, right? The world's governments, the whole UN, to try to save his friend. But he knows that Bucky's not well. You know, all that stuff that Hydra put in his head in the 40s is still there. That's what they talk about at the end of the movie in that post-credit scene when they freeze him again. And that's another thing I want to talk about for just a moment. Bucky doesn't want to be anyone's soldier anymore. He doesn't want to keep fighting. You know? And that's something that's pretty consistent across all of his appearances post the first Avenger. Right after the Winter Soldier, He saves Steve from the river. Was it the Potomac? I'm not entirely sure. I would assume. And then he just fucks off into the distance. He's gone. He's just living in Romania, chilling as a human being, trying to just live a normal life. He's not interested in fighting anybody else's war or anything like that. And I feel like that shows pretty definitively right there that Bucky just wants to rest, right? And then after he gets dragged back into it in Civil War, and after he loses an arm over something that he didn't, try to do or want to do or was forced to do, he goes back to just living a normal life as best he can in Wakanda. After Shuri fixes everything that Hydra put in his head, he's just allowed to live. They call him the White Wolf. They teach him some things about Wakanda, I would assume. They probably gave him a little bit of training, but they didn't, prep him to hit the front lines again. And I think Steve can recognize and respect that. Steve's not stupid, The only reason that he got conscripted to fight again in Infinity War was because it was Thanos. This is what Tony was talking about all those years ago when he said, up there, that's the end game. This is it. We need all hands on deck. But after that, I'm sure that if Steve and Bucky had both, come out of that well, he would have just allowed Bucky to keep living his normal life. Now, yes, Bucky did become something of a spy after Endgame, but I'm pretty sure that that's strictly part of his efforts to make amends for everything that he did, like his government mandated 12-step program to getting right with the world. That's not necessarily reflective of who he is and what he wanted. Meanwhile, Sam is somebody who, answers the call every time. He had met Steve once, maybe twice. No, he met Steve twice. And as soon as Steve was like, hey, I'm in trouble, I need your help, Sam's like, okay, well, here's where my wings are locked up. Let's go get those things, because if Captain America needs my help, then it means that people need my help. Sam wants to help people. He wants to fight. That's what makes him feel useful, right? That's why he started his VA program in the first place. He wants to help people. That's the core of who he is. And he can help a lot more people as Captain America than he can as the Falcon. And there's something interesting therein that I want to talk about. Because the obvious answer as to why he didn't pick Bucky is for the same reasons that Bucky shouldn't have been picked in the comics. Everybody knows what he did. Yes, he was exonerated for the UN bombing, but he still did all of those other things. And Natasha released that information to the world. Everybody knows what he did and who he was. And you could say, well, this is the perfect opportunity for him to redeem himself. But it just wouldn't work, I don't think. It's different than Tony Stark, creating weapons of war that lead to innocent people dying, and then Tony Stark shutting it down and becoming a hero to try to undo what he did, and the Winter Soldier committing all those crimes while under brainwash, and then just disappearing and just trying to stay hidden and lay low for years and years. And then the first thing you hear about him since the events of Civil War is he's Captain America now. Yeah, they just gave him the shield, and he's going to be, the champion of the country. That's just a little much, I think, for your average person to try to swallow. But with Sam Wilson, there's an interesting aspect that highlights something about Steve that is interesting to talk about as well. Steve sees the world in a very black and white way, and that's what led to conflicts in Winter Soldier and Civil War, because the world operates in shades of gray. But Steve doesn't care about that. He doesn't see that. It's either this way or it's that way. There is no in-between for him. He sees things in a very binary way. That's fascinating, because he's still, even with that, a very consistent character throughout the entire MCU. I never really found him to be acting out of character in any of his appearances, which is more than you can say for certain characters. But it means that he also fails to see the big picture, right? Because Steve is somebody who will dive on top of a grenade to save his squad, or his platoon rather, or he'll walk into enemy lines without a plan to rescue the Howling Commandos. You know, the characteristics that define him are courage, bravery, leadership, integrity, and pride to a degree, right? That's kind of what comes together to form Steve Rogers as a character. But all of that stuff is still present in Sam Wilson. Sam Wilson, loyalty, bravery, and and integrity are three huge tenets for Sam. And the purpose of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show was to prove to us that he can lead, that he can hold that responsibility of being Captain America. It's not just about a shield and a suit. It's about everything that comes with it. And they talk about on the show that it's different to be Captain America as a black man than it is to be Captain America as Steve Rogers. And I don't think that Steve really thought about that. I think it's interesting that Sam feels this extra burden from the shield because of who he is and what he looks like. And you can say that that doesn't matter, but it's not true. It's just simply not true. Go to Reddit, go to Twitter, go to YouTube comments, go to Instagram, go anywhere, and you'll see all sorts of stuff about how, you know, Sam's not my Captain America. And it'll have nothing to do with the content of his character or his characterization over the past like 5 or 6 movies he's been in. I'll tell you that. So Sam feels that, and Anthony Mackie feels that, and it's important to talk about because it's a reality of being a character like that while looking like that. You know, people will say, well, we don't like Sam Wilson as Captain America because he didn't take the super soldier serum. Well, he's got an adamantium suit, right? So I think it's going to be okay. But also, not adamantium suit, a vibranium suit. I'm so sorry. A vibranium suit, so I think he'll be okay. But also, Sam Wilson never took the serum in the comics. The serum doesn't make you Captain America. Who you are makes you Captain America. That's just what it is. That's how it's always been. The thing was, Steve was at a huge disadvantage without the serum. But even without it, he'll still pick up the shield and try to fight. We've seen that more than once. The shield represents the unbreakable will of Captain America. That's the whole point, right? But Steve didn't mean to burden Sam with you know, being a black man that's also Captain America, but it's just something that comes with it. And I think that that's really interesting to look at and consider when we're consuming this next movie, right? And I hope that that's a huge focal point. It was a focal point of the show, so it needs to be a focal point of the movie here, especially because they're releasing it in the middle of Black History Month. But Sam doesn't want to let Steve down, and that's why he gives up the shield at the beginning, is because he doesn't think that he can do it. But you saw what happens when, you know, the wrong white, blonde, blue-haired guy with super soldier serum gets the shield. It's better for Sam, who is not white, who does not have blue eyes, and does not have super soldier serum. It's better for him to have the shield than it is for somebody like John Walker. We saw that in action. You know, there's something about being overzealous that got to John that Sam doesn't have. John is somebody that, like, no matter what the situation is, the government and the elected power is always going to supersede what he wants and what he thinks is right. Steve's not like that. And as we can already tell from the fact that the main villain of this movie is the president, Sam's not like that either. You know, Steve would fight the president if he needed to. I don't think John Walker would. That's another thing that's really important to Captain America that we've seen more than once, is that he's not loyal to the country itself. He's had the title of Captain America stripped from him because of that. He doesn't just buck to, well, that's not the word to use. He doesn't just follow orders blindly. You know, he questions things. He questions authority. He questions decision-making and motivations all the time. That's what Winter Soldier's about. That's what Civil War is about. And when Anthony Mackie said that of all of the things that Captain America represents, America isn't really one of those things, people got really upset, but it's true. Steve represents the American dream and what America ought to be, what America sells itself as, but not necessarily what America is. That's what Captain America comics are about. But I get the feeling that a lot of people out there have probably never read Captain America. They just saw the movies, you know? And that's really upsetting because Captain America has always been one of my favorite characters. And that's why this topic means so much to me, because I like Sam Wilson as Captain America, and I like Steve Rogers as Captain America. And you know what I really like? The fact that they're both Captain America at the same time, even still. Even right now, they are both Captain America. I think that's really cool. And that means something to me. Same reason that I like Peter Parker and Miles Morales both being Spider-Man at the same time. You know, it becomes a concept of like a legacy character thing where we act as though only one person can be a certain character. But it's like, if you like Ghost Rider, or if you tell me that you like Ghost Rider, I then have to ask which one, right? You're talking Johnny Blaze, Danny Ketch, Robbie Reyes. If you tell me that you like Robin, I then have to ask which one. Carrie Kelly, Stephanie Brown, Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, Damian Wayne. No problem there. If you tell me that you like The Flash, I then have to ask which one. Barry Allen, Jay Garrick, Wally West, Bart Allen. He's not The Flash, really, but, you know, he counts. No problem there. It's usually going to be either Barry Allen or Wally West. If you tell me that you like Green Lantern, I then have to ask which one. Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart, Kylo Rayner, Guy Gardner. I'm not too familiar with the newer ones, so I don't want to say their names wrong. But still, that's no problem, right? More often than not. So why is it any different if you say you like Spider-Man for me to be like, oh, Peter or Miles? I like Captain America. Oh, Steve or Sam? Especially because so many other people have also been Captain America. Fun fact, did you know that there's a Captain America for every state? Isn't that cool? Anyway, that's the core of what I wanted to talk about. I don't want to accuse people of being racist today. That's not the aim of this video. It's mostly to hopefully try to contextualize why Sam Wilson was a good pick for Captain America and is still a good pick for Captain America and will continue to be a good pick for Captain America. I look forward to seeing, you know, an Avengers movie where Sam Wilson is at the center and he leads the team. Because all of that comes with the character and comes with the territory. And I think that'll be exciting to see. But what do you guys think about Sam Wilson being Captain America? I'm sure you've already commented to tell me something before you got to this point in the video. But while you're down there, go ahead and leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you want more, because there's a lot more coming this year. 2025 will be content non-stop. I got big things planned and I need you guys tuned in order to get there. So that's enough for me for today. I'll get off my soapbox now. And go see Captain America: Brave New World. You know, it should be coming out in a couple days by the time I get this uploaded, so let's have some fun.